So the way this works right now, I'm going to come to you guys. If you have questions, hold tight, raise your hand. I have some questions typed in, so I'm going to go to those people first. So once I get these ones out of the way, I'll give you guys give you guys time to ask a question. And Kelsey, you're on the board. Go ahead.
Hey, Kels, real quick, is my video back up?
I can like see you sometimes, but not other times. So sometimes you're like waving. I was like, oh, she waving at me, but then I don't know. So.
Okay, dope. Thank you. Go ahead, Kels. And Kels, way to fucking play. Let's go.
I know. It's my lucky sweatshirt. I've won both times wearing this one. Well, not win, but whatever. Okay, so Missy and Wendy, as females, did you ever feel like that hurt you in the game of Survivor, like literally just your gender? If so, how did you overcome that?
I love that. Go ahead, Wendy.
Okay, well, me personally, I'm like a tomboy. So I'm always trying to be like with like the guys and stuff. And they kept like kind of going like, get out of here, get out of here. But I was like, no, no, no. So I was like right there building the shelter, or I would do like different things. So on one, like right in the beginning, I felt like it was kind of playing against me. But later when they knew like kind of the person I was, they would like let me do more things, especially like challenge wise.
I think, okay. My answer, I think it hurt me because I was so focused on female statistics, how like women are the first people voted out. Women are typically the people who are kept out of challenges. So I was so focused on stats that I think that I made too much of my game revolve around that. Like the first vote out, I was somewhat okay with, even if it wasn't a great move for my game, because I was so happy that it wasn't a girl. I was just like, it could be Aaron, it could be Ronnie. As long as it's not a girl, I'm okay. So I think it hurt my game in that way, where I'm trying to overcorrect everything that Survivor Past has fucked up, basically, if that makes sense.
But not in terms of like strategy. You didn't feel like you ever looked down upon for being, or not down upon, but like biases. You know what I'm saying?
I think with strategy, well, no. So Aaron was my main alliance. I don't think Aaron ever treated me not as his equal, right? So me and Aaron were always equal playing field. With other players, I think because I'm so physical and I'm so fit and I'm also outspoken, I never felt like undermined or whatever? Yeah, I never felt treated differently. And if I would have been, I would have spoken up about it. So, but saying that could be a hindrance to your game though. If I have to speak up about somebody treating me different, then now people are like, oh, she's a bitch. Like she talks too much. Sophie in this current season 40, she kind of exerted herself too much and she appeared to be in charge. And I think that if she was a man, if she was Boston Rob, perfect. But because she's a woman, they're just like, what the fuck? We should vote her out. And now she's gone. So yeah, I think unfortunately being a woman does hurt you sometimes. Go ahead, Wendy.
I would agree with what you're saying there, just because I was labeled as stubborn for not following, like, let's say what War Dog was saying. And it's not about being stubborn. Like, for certain things, like I know it was edited differently, but for most of the part, I was like, I understand what you guys are doing, and I know this isn't going to play well for my game whatsoever, but I'm making this decision, and it's not like I'm trying to pull you guys to do this, and I'm not being, like, I wasn't saying no because no, I want it my way. It was, I understand what you guys are doing, but just to spare a certain person's feelings, I'm not going to do that, you know? And I was instantly labeled as stubborn because I wasn't just following suit, you know?
Yeah, I think like what is the saying? Survivor mirrors the real world. Survivor definitely, like that's 100% true. You can say it all the time. I think women definitely have less of a voice, and if the more you speak, the more you seem way too smart, way too much of a bitch, or way too stubborn. Like we have to get rid of her because.
But then if you don't, you're a goat. So.
But if you don't, you're a goat. Exactly. So it's crazy. Either you're a villain like me because I was outspoken and I said what I wanted, or you're considered a goat like Michelle. And you never really like, you know? So it's such a fine line to walk as a woman. Great question. Wow.
Good stuff. That's nice. Good question. Who's next? Raise your hand. I'll come to I got you, Leilani. You're up.
I was just wondering, so after challenges or Jeff explains them, he says like, oh, like any questions? And he never really seems to show like people asking questions. But do people like actually ask questions, or is it normally pretty straightforward?
Go ahead, Wendy.
Yeah, so immediately after, like he says, all right, let's get to it. He'll walk us through the challenge and stuff. And then afterwards, any questions that we have, he'll answer. So like, let's say we're like, oh, do we untie this first or do we do this first? He'll like answer step by step. And he'll yell at you if you do it incorrectly.
Yeah, definitely. Aaron?
Yeah, sometimes he answers your questions like bullshit. So like if you remember our season, I think it was the second tribal council, our second immunity challenge. We had the ladder. We had to get out of the water. that was at the bottom, was tied to the bottom. We had to swim down and untie it.
Yeah.
And the question was asked was if the ladder was heavy. And Jeff was like, no, it floats. That motherfucker sunk to the bottom. And I was in the bottom of the ocean, like swallowing water, trying to hold that thing and pull it. Like Elizabeth is swimming, but that was heavy. It sunk. It was a weight. So Jeff was like, it's light. It's light. It's not that heavy.
Yeah, Jeff is there to fuck with you. Like Jeff is a part of the show in every single way. It's hilarious. Wow, yeah.
And I think it was in my tribal council when both of our tribes were gonna go, we were like, hey, are we gonna go separate or together? And Jeff was like, good question, and just walked away.
Yeah, so the answer to the question, yes, we have time to ask questions.
We have time, but do they get answered? No, not always.
Yeah.
Good question.
Who's up next? Just raise your hand.
Was it Amir? Yeah, Amir.
I got you.
Okay. Hi, Wendy. My question is, can you walk us more through the moment you decided to leave the Edge with Keith? I just want to what was your process, your thinking process when you did that? And were you ashamed when you were leaving?
No, I wasn't ashamed. So a lot of things were going through my mind at the time. So I want to make it very clear that it seemed extremely optional when we were on the edge, it was when I had asked the producers there, they were just like, yeah, you guys can stay or you can leave. It's an option. So when I was actually doing that, I thought how they explained it to me, they were just like, oh, we're sitting here, we're not doing anything. And for me, I'm very hyperactive. And I was just like, I wanted to come onto this for an adventure, not to kind of just sit around on a beach.
Yeah.
So when it was immediately after that challenge that I was kind of how can I say this? I've never been very vocal about my Tourette's and stuff. So when I was doing the challenge and I kind of it kind of started processing in me that I was just millions of people are going to see me, see a part of me that not a lot of people have seen. It kind of resonated saying oh, what if there's another challenge and I just lose that one again just because of this. And I didn't want to be remembered as the Tourette's survivor, I wanted to be known as Big Wendy. So I made it, I found it if it was my choice to leave. And and Keith had the same reason. And he was like, I want to end my adventure when I want to. And that was the same for me. If that makes sense.
I love that, to take back control of your life. Yeah.
It was the ending of my story. And when I got voted out, I just kept explaining. I was like, I have nothing left to prove. I feel I did a lot in my time there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And personally speaking, Wendy, I don't remember you as Tourette's Wendy. I do remember you as Big Wendy.
Yeah.
I think you accomplished that.
Yeah, Big Wendy.
So that's just, for me personally.
Thank you.
I'm a big Win fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Aaron fan.
All right.
Whoa, you're a big Aaron fan?
A huge Misty fan. No, it's because it got staticky and you kind of didn't hear that part.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay.
Who's up next? Before this gets physical.
Bro.
Who's up next? I got you, miss.
Wow,
Anybody?
come on.
Questions, guys? Anybody? Questions? All right, I got you. Pablo, go ahead.
So I was wondering about what time do you guys make confessionals and stuff? Because it seems like there should be is there a designated time, or is it can you do them whenever?
Yeah, good question. Go ahead, Wendy.
So they basically pull you away. Okay, so you have a lot of downtime. So especially after challenges, right before tribal, they'll pull you away. And but usually on our down days, if you're doing something interesting, they'll be like, hey, so what do you think of that? Or what do you think of this? But certain days, if you're a really big, that's how you could kind of notice who are the bigger players, because they'll pull you away multiple times in the day. And one time I remember they kept pulling me and I was like, stop doing that. They're going to think I'm up to something. And they just wanted to talk about my shenanigans and stuff. But yeah,
Definitely.
so it just depends on what, if it's a down day, they'll pull you away less. If it's before tribal, they'll pull you more.
Definitely. And then if you were doing any type, any fuck shit that you're doing as a player, you want to watch. If somebody gets pulled 3 times in a day and that's somebody that you're trying to vote out or somebody that you're going against anyway, maybe they have an idol. Maybe they're trying to explain how they're going to ruin your life. Maybe they're trying to you have to watch the production side of it. You can't get too caught up in the game because the TV cameras and production, they're a part of the game too. You're playing against 20 players and also against the camera crew.
Yeah. And after playing, we're more perceptive to that. So, second time around, these guys that play twice, they've obviously gone through this. So that factors a lot into your gameplay, just understanding how production works and how the camera crews work. So if you can pick up on subtleties there, you can help advance your game potentially just by picking up on who's going on confessionals at what time. Are they going last? Are they going first? A lot of that does go into play as far as the storyline. So you just, yeah, good question. Good question, Pablo. I saw another hand go up. Who else had a question? Bernardo, I got you. Go ahead, brother.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, brother.
Good, how are you? I like your buff.
Fine, thanks. Regards from Costa Rica. Quick question. When you are walking to the tribal council, is you're going always walking or just later take a boat or a car or something that we don't see on camera?
Good question, bro. And thank you so much. Really quick, other than Joel, who's in Canada, Bernardo is our first completely out of the United States trivia player. I just want to thank you so much for signing up. It means the most. Wow. That's crazy.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, you too Danish?
0 points.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, great question. Wendy, would you like to answer it?
Yeah, so it's like a whole lot. So like basically they film us walking down the beach, and then right after they like put us on a boat, and then I think it was like maybe an hour. I have no perception of time there, but like 30 to an hour getting to the tribal council. Then they put us on a bus, and it's like you're getting kidnapped. Like this bus like just covers you. They practically put a hood over your head, and then like drive you to the tribal council. And then from there, we wait a bit, and then we walk into tribal.
Wendy, for the I'm trying to think. When did you leave the game on Edge? What day did you leave?
Day 17. So it was like right before the merge.
Right before the merge. Okay.
The day before the merge, yeah.
Okay, yeah. They definitely use boats. We walk through water to tribal council. You have to like be perceptive too. So like Lyro sucked for us. And so we went to tribal council every night if you watched our season. And so we started, at first we were fully clothed because it was nighttime and you're cold. But the more we lost, we were like, bitch, I know your game. We would go to tribal council basically naked. Because all your clothes would get wet in the ocean as you're walking.
Yeah, you want to stay as dry as possible in that game.
Yeah.
And we were rainy season, so it rained a lot. So like we started to realize like, damn, if I come back and my clothes are wet, I am not sleeping. So like we would go to tribal council in our underwear with our like, you got to put a lot of thought into just how to go to tribal council and your clothing situation. Yeah, everything.
And you're still like, you're dehydrated, you haven't eaten. You may not really think about it, but you're like, fuck, if you mess up, my jeans, I had blue jeans. These fuckers gave me blue jeans. So my jeans would stay wet for like 3 to 4 days at a time. I never had them on. So if you watch our season, I'm always in my underwear because they were just never dry. And that's not comfortable.
Likewise.
Yeah, good question. Nobody wants to see you in your fucking underwear though, bro. Like
that's a lie. That's a lie. That's 100% a lie.
Freak of the week though. Congrats. Freak of the week. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it from you.
Exactly.
Get the fuck out of here.
Questions, guys. Questions. Who's up? Up, Jack. I got you. Gabrielle, I'll come to you next. Go ahead, bro.
So when you guys were giving confessionals, was there any time when you were giving the confessional and you were like, oh, I think that this moment right now is going to be put on the show, and then it ended up not being?
Like moments of ours?
Like, no,
like his question is if you're given a confessional and like you're like spouting off and you're like, this is definitely going to make TV.
Oh yeah, I feel like, no, Wendy, please answer first as a celeb host. Go ahead.
Well, for me, I feel like I was just so oblivious to the fact that this was going to be aired that I was like completely myself the whole time. And then that's why every time anyone was like, oh, she was playing up for the cameras, I was like, I forgot the cameras were there. So sometimes when I would say something in the night, I would just like be sitting there. I was like, oh shoot, I probably shouldn't have said that. Because you don't know what's going to make it on there, you know?
Yeah. Aaron plays it up for the camera though,
yeah,
guys,
I played it up. Guys, I played it up straight up. Like, I'll tell you, like, right now, I'll tell you that the 4-4, I was 100% with Lyro, but I wanted to play it up as if Elaine was in jeopardy. Because I knew that's going to make a really good storyline, and it did. Like, that was a big piece. But at no point in time was I contemplating, once Elaine had the block a vote, was I contemplating, like, flipping on Lyro. So that was never happened.
I had no idea.
It was, I did that because I'm like, this is going to make, from a confessional standpoint, this is going to make a good part of the story, and that's why I did what I did. So yeah, there comes a situation where you're sitting there and you're like, all right, shit, like, I want my 15 seconds of fame. I want to make TV. So yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to vote Elaine out, but I had no intention to do that because I would have been
All right, TV whore. Let the rest of us speak. So for me, I think I could tell, like if I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, that sounded dope as fuck. Like that's gonna make TV. Like you can tell sometimes, depending on what you're saying, like, bitch, decently dope, they're gonna say that shit. Or like when I spelled out Soul Survivor talking about my brain tumor, you can kind of assume based on the emotion you give them. Like if you cried in that confessional and it somehow related to the gameplay, then I think it'll make it in. And then also, we as players, like me, Aaron, Wendy, we all know who's in the final three, right? So once we get home, we can think back and be like, okay, so if Tommy, Nora, and Dean are in the final three, that conversation with me and Dean, and I called him a bitch and said, don't bite the hand that feeds you, that's probably gonna make it in, you know? So you can kind of like, you can piece it together.
God, you guys thought so much about it. So
Wendy, I was in my head at all times. Like every night, Elizabeth would have to hold me and be like, Missy, you're thinking too much. Like you have to calm down. But dude, I was so fucking like, I was gone. I was running numbers in my sleep.
I would think about the game, but I just wouldn't think about like the cameras really. And the producers would have to remind me a lot because, you know, I speak really fast. So they have to slow me down constantly. And so actually, when I went to release the chickens, I outran the producer because I did 3 trips. So I outran the producer the first 2 times, and the second time she's like, "You gotta slow down." I was like, "I'm not doing this for you."
Speaking of chickens, Wendy, Jeremy has a question.
Yes, Jeremy.
Go, Jeremy. Go ahead.
So Wendy,
Jeremy, let me preface you real quick. Okay, guys, Jeremy is like the king of all this trivia. He made our very first trivia questions that we did on our Instagram live. I feel like it was a really big hit. Jeremy is the one who helped us out, and now he's here playing, and it's a really big full circle moment. So I just want to say thank you so much. So happy that you're here. Wow. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Thank you, Missy. My question is, Wendy, do you still eat chicken even after saving all those chickens?
I don't. I'm a vegetarian now. I've been a vegetarian for over a year, and I'm very happy because I'm a very fat person, and it was very hard to leave junk food, but I've been happy.
So you're vegetarian? Are you vegan?
No, I tried to do vegan and I like cheese, so I couldn't.
Is cheese the hardest part? So I mean, I still occasionally have a pizza. Like I'll still eat a pizza, but like I still call myself vegan.
It's because like I'm a Mexican, so like all of our food incorporates cheese, and it's so hard to tell my grandma. My grandma like refuses to acknowledge that I don't eat meat anymore.
All right, Josh. Josh has a question. I think for all 3 of us. Go ahead, Josh.
Who are you rooting for to win the season, and who do you think will win?
This current season 40?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Wendy.
This current season, I'm rooting for everyone on the edge, honestly. Like, Natalie is my favorite.
Let's
so
go.
I hope she comes back. I love Ethan. He is so kind and funny. But in-game, I think, here, circle back. Let me think of in-game who I would want to win.
Okay.
I'm down. Actually, go ahead, Aaron. I'm eating meatless meatballs, and they're so good. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm rooting for Tony. I just, from a standpoint of like, if he can pull off this win, it would go down by far, hands down, as the best win ever. So I'd love to watch that. I'd love to see that because I think he's playing a lights out game.
Lights out.
That's who I think will win. Who I want to win is Jeremy. I don't think if Jeremy sits next to Tony, I honestly don't think that Jeremy beats Tony.
Damn. Like
I think he can beat. I don't think he beats Tony or he doesn't beat Sarah. But I think he beats everybody else.
Do you think that if Kim would have stayed in the game, that had Kim, Tony, and say a GOAT, anybody would have made it to the final 3? Do you think that the jury would have listened to Kim more as like do you think that they would? Because I feel like, tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like alumni maybe discredit Tony a little bit and call him crazy and like you didn't deserve it. But with Kim, her win was a clear-cut win. Do you think that Tony and Kim, it would be Kim like outright, no question?
No, Tony.
Oh yeah.
Tony.
Rob even said, Rob was like, Tony is a boss. For Boston Rob to call Tony a boss, like Boston Rob holds a lot of clout. So you got to imagine when they're back at Ponderosa contemplating like who's going to win, B Rob's going to talk about how Tony's just dominated the game. Like Tony is literally playing a masterful game.
Yeah, because Tony's eccentric, but I mean he's still a player, you know. So like he does have a big personality, but like at the end of the day, they realize that he is making moves.
Yeah, this dude's balling out. So does that answer your question, Josh?
Yep.
Good deal. Who else? Anybody else got a question? Danish, I got you. Oh, no, Gabrielle, I said I got you next. I got you next, Danish. Go ahead, Gabrielle.
I was just wondering, like, in game, how like conversation is like strategy versus just like regular conversation, because like the edit shows like all strategy talk, but is that actually what happens?
In which season, or
just I guess your seasons?
Wendy, go ahead.
I couldn't hear the question.
How much of like conversation in the game is like strategy or just like regular conversation?
Well, since we do have a lot of downtime, it's probably more downtime conversation, but I would say probably like 40, 60.
Yeah.
Or probably maybe a little less, just because there's a lot of downtime. And then like not a lot of times do we like walk away. Like most of the strategy is like when we're alone, but anytime we're back at camp, that's like the majority of the time.
I think Gabby from 30, what's her Gabby season, 37? Gabby said it best. She said that basically anytime the cameras are around you, like you forget the cameras are there about 3 days in. So, no, she said by the end of 39 days, you know everybody's social security numbers. Like, you know their favorite color, you know their husbands, their wives. Like, I know Kellen's birthday, I know Amanda's middle name. Like, I know everything about Aaron's family, pretty much. Because when you're out there, like, yeah, we do strategy a lot, but it's typically only when you need to scramble. You're not going to talk strategy if you're Bokai, for us, Bokai's not sitting around contemplating people's deaths. Like, should we kill Nora? Should we kill Jason? They're happy, they're fed, they're winning. They're just talking to each other about, like, I'm a 4th grade teacher, I do accounting, you know? And so most of our time is spent just shooting the shit. Like, you're really most of the time just starving, sitting around talking about nothing, just starving, talking about literally nothing.
Yeah, you got to be careful with how much you strategize. So if we just finish a challenge and we won and we're not going to tribal council, to sit there and strategize after a win like that is probably over strategizing.
Right.
So you've got to start to think, like, when should I start to talk strategy? Do I want to lay out this plan right now so early, not knowing who's going to win, individual immunity?
Yeah.
We're going to go to tribal council. There's so many different scenarios that you got to be perceptive with. So
Aaron,
for me, what's up?
Can you explain Tony's the reason why Tony waited so long? I don't know which episode. Yeah, like the reason.
Genius.
Because you talked about it last episode we did. Can you explain the reason why you would want to wait? Yeah.
So the reason why you want to strategize like as late as possible is because the second that you start to say something and you throw an idea out, it gives other people time to scramble around and blow your plan up. So Tony, if you watch what he did, he waited till the sun was about to set, knowing full well that nobody's going to have time to scramble. I'm going to throw this plan out. I'm safe because I got a necklace on and I got an idol in my pocket. So I can shoot a Hail Mary right now to try to flip this script and get the plurality vote and split it up, right? And so Tony waited to the very end, knowing that nobody's going on confessional, that nobody's going to have time to scramble to drop his plan. And that's why that was genius, because he waited to that last second. So that literally was like a last second play for him, which is, had he put that idea in motion a day before, there's no way it would have happened, because it would have given people time to dissect that plan, think about it, and say, Tony trying to make a big move. We can't give Tony this power.
We gotta cut that. Yeah.
We got to stop that. So
perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
And then another example, it wasn't as well shown as Tony. Like, us as alumni, we can see the edit and we know why he did it at that time. The reason that Chelsea from our season went home was because we were like, what is the word? Gridlocked. We were just locked on Dean. Nobody wanted Dean. We knew we couldn't get the numbers. So like less than 5 minutes before they locked us down, me and Elaine talked, and I was like, dude, should it just be Chelsea? Is that okay? And that was the last name said. So literally, sometimes if you're the last name randomly said, you could be playing a great game, a perfect game, but somebody randomly just threw your name out, you could be going home. That's why Survivor's so fucking crazy. And then we have a question in the chat. I'll read it. Wendy, do you think it was a mistake for Kim to put the target on Tony so early last episode? I don't know why I read it like that, but yeah.
I haven't seen the last episode. I haven't seen it since Sandra, so like I'm getting spoilers, but I don't mind.
Jeremy's disappointed in you. Oh my gosh. Okay. Do you think it was a
Rubik's Cube?
That question was answered. Like that's why you don't strategize that soon, because Kim went too early, and it just gave time for that plan to dissect, which is why, it just was a bad move at that point in time. Had Kim waited a little longer to make a move like that, it might have worked. But that's why it blew up in her face.
Another example of that,
even worse.
when Yul went to like Nick, Michelle, and whoever else in that tribe, Yul went to way too many people, and he exposed his plan way too early. The sun is still up, and here you are telling every single person on your tribe what you think the plan should be. Bitch, you're going home tonight. It's clear cut and simple, like you can tell. Yep. And then
he's an old school player too. Like you have to
and old school.
Also, like that, the game didn't move as fast when they
right. He thought that he was like in the right. He's like, guys, I had a genius plan. I ran the numbers. Let me tell everybody, no, you go home for that now. Like 2010, maybe you'll win the game like that. 2020, bitch, you're done. You're first out.
Yeah. Go ahead, Danish. You're up.
Hey guys, I'm from Pakistan and it's like 5 a.m. here, so
Let's
apologies.
Go. Let's go. Thank you so much.
No problem. Apologies for my abysmal performance, but my question's about idols. How hard are they to find? Is it very random? Because they showed you, Missy, and Aaron trying to find idols at night. How is it possible for you to see and even search for them?
Yeah, me and Aaron, so we went looking every morning right when the camera crew was coming. So to us, we thought it was like 5 a.m., maybe a little bit earlier. It's really hard. What they show you on TV is like a 2-minute clip of like Chelsea walking in the woods, and she's like, oh, it's not like that. Usually it takes you 2 to 3 days. We had Jamal last week. He said it took him 2 to 3 days. We looked all the time, but then you also have to take into account production too. So like it's a whole thing. You have to wonder, if I'm that powerful of a player, does production want me to have an idol? Because I don't know about Aaron, but had I had an idol, I would have been terrorizing people even more than I was. I would have been even more mean, even more ruthless probably. They probably didn't want me having one. And I would assume neither Aaron, because Aaron could probably win every single necklace back to back to back, right? So why would you want a player like that having an idol? Aaron?
Yeah. I mean, at nighttime, you can, if there's no clouds, the moon is so bright and the stars are so bright.
Oh shit, tell the Ronnie story. Story.
Oh yeah. So real quick, I'll try to make this super quick. So night 2, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, there's an idol buried by tree mail. There's an idol buried by the well. It's usually 3 to 5 paces. So I dug a trench 3 feet wide, 3 feet by 5 feet in a circle around both tree mail and the well. Dug, like literally was in there digging. And I can see because the moon is so bright. Everybody's sleeping. Everybody's passed out. So I don't find anything, clearly. Cover it all up. And the next day, they're sitting by the well, and Ronnie's sitting there, and he looks down. He's like, guys, I wasn't looking for the idol. He just volunteers that information. And it's like, what are you doing? Why would you say that? Why would you call out the fact that somebody clearly was looking for an idol, which was myself, and say that I didn't do it? Yeah, that didn't help his game. Wendy, you have any insight on idol hunting?
Yeah, I don't know how you search during the night. For us, it was always cloudy, and I would like walk like this because I couldn't see a damn thing. Like like where the what is it, coconut tree? That's what they
Coconut Grove.
The Grove.
No, coconut tree. Where the med boxes.
Yeah, the Grove. The Grove.
Well, the Grove is where you poo.
The Grove's where you poop.
You're right.
Whatever. So, well, we would search mostly during the day and stuff, but like on TV, it looked like super easy. Like, oh, there's the idol. No, everything looks the same, and like you're just constantly looking.
It's really pitch black. Like we are out. I forget too. Like as a fan, when you're watching, you may think some of it is edited and fake. In terms of like living in the jungle, it is all real. It is pitch black. I'm afraid of the dark, and obviously, I don't want players to know that. But the first night, I almost shit myself. Like it is so. It's so dark. It's so dark. It's scary dark. You can't see your hand like that.
Yeah. Melanie, I got you. Go ahead, Melanie.
Yeah, Mel.
Hey. So I was wondering, hey. My question is, what do the 3 of you think about all of the whispering at Tribal this season? I think it sucks. And do you think this is going to be a trend in future seasons?
Let's go. Wendy?
Well, I think it's been going on for a while. Like, for instance, it happened during my season.
The Julia, can you explain the Julia one? The Julia, because that was like the biggest vote out where everybody was whispering, right?
Yeah, apparently, like, they say that Julia tanked her game in that. I have no idea. Well, I wasn't there, obviously, but they said that they were like, it wasn't even going to be her. But then since she started talking, everybody just, I think it was, who was it? I don't know who put like the target on her back, and like she just kind of like dug her own grave. That's what they said. I don't enjoy the whispering and stuff. I just think that if you're gonna say it, like say it, because like you know how like Jeff tries to kind of like get information from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like some people like hold back and then they just save it like purely for like whispering and stuff. And I think that Jeff doesn't enjoy that. So I don't know why he would allow it to go on so long, you know?
My theory is that because it's season 40 and they are already given so much like agency and power as returning players, they're being allowed to kind of like, it's interesting to see Kim, who we've watched since we were 10, talk to like a Nick, who we just saw win 2 years ago. That's so cool to see her whispering with him. So maybe that's why they allow it now. But I think we will all start to get annoyed if like new people, like if me, Aaron, and all these people from 39 were to be like, we're super important, we're gonna whisper, I feel like something would have been said to us. So I think 41 will have watched 40 as their most recent season, and they're gonna start trying to emulate like the Survivor gods, and they're gonna get in trouble for it. I don't think that we wanna see new players whisper to each other.
I think it's tough because it's a function of you going into tribal council thinking that you have a plan, at least some semblance of a plan, and then you get there and somebody says something that completely blows the plan up.
Yeah.
Right? So in my head, I've got a plan and I'm like, it's so and so. They're getting voted out, they're catching my vote. And then all of a sudden somebody says something and I'm like, wait a second, hold up. I think we're going a different direction. I don't want to go home. I will get up and I will whisper, I will talk, I will ask questions. So as a player,
yeah,
I understand why these guys do it. I get it. As a fan, it sucks to watch. I don't want to watch it. But I don't know how you take that away from somebody. If you have a plan going in, and like for our season, Nora blew the plan up. It was supposed to be Tommy getting voted out. Dean blew it up, and then Nora, like, that's when you saw everybody stand up, and they were sitting there talking and whispering.
Yeah.
But she had to, because she thought, she had a plan, and then Dean clearly was doing his thing behind her back to tell Tommy that he was in trouble. And if she didn't say anything, she might have went home.
Right.
So, yes and no. Like, as a fan, I don't want to see it. But as a player, I'll be damned if I'm going to go home because another plan is going on and I don't know about it. And I have a chance to save myself.
I didn't think about it like that. It's triggering. Like, for my vote out, I think Aaron was on the jury. So I was looking at Aaron more than I was looking at the people still in the game because I was just so shook that he had just died. And then Elaine said some fuck shit. She said something like, Missy or Karishma has to go home tonight for this to be resolved. Elaine should have never said anything like that. If me and Elaine are on the same alliance, why would you ever say my name like that? So if I would have been less confident, maybe, like more perceptive, or maybe just like less in shock about Aaron, I would have heard Elaine say, Missy or Karishma, bitch, that was never the plan. My name was never the plan. So I think at that moment, it is a good reason for a player to stand up and be like, let me confirm with every single person. But as a fan, you don't get to hear it because our microphones don't extend that far. So yeah, I think it is hard to take it away from the players. I still think it'll be annoying though to see these new people who we don't necessarily care about yet trying to like do something,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Anybody, any final questions? Joel, do you have anything? You kind of been silent over. You got anything? I'll mute you.
Yeah, let Joel in.
Hey.
Joel, you're in.
I threw in a question earlier for Wendy and it got missed. I want to know for Wendy, if you were on the jury, who would you have voted for on your season between those final three, if you're on the jury?
Now retrospectively, I would have wanted to vote Gavin, but knowing how I would have been on the edge and had to bond with Chris, like I had no relationship with Chris at that point. But knowing that I would have to spend the rest of the game there and him, like, us bonding over me and Gavin, like, I would have probably voted Chris.
Wow. Good question. And like I said, guys, Joel is from Big Brother Canada. So we have a star in our midst. We have 4 alumni players. And then last question, I'll answer it really quick. Are you allowed to take your torch out at night to see from Jack? No, your torch stays there until tribal. And you don't want to touch it because it's like unlucky. Why touch it? Why touch something that can get you removed from the game? Don't touch it. Don't look at it.
If I lit my torch, there's no way in hell I'm going to snuff it.
Right.
Like if I lit it to light something, that shit's going to stay burning.
Yeah, not putting it out.
You're not putting it out.
I'll set the jungle on fire before I put my torch out.
Correct.
Yeah. But yes, can you mute Joel?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, guys, that is it for this game. We have our top 5. Can the top 5 right now please put your emails in the chat? We will notify you for Sunday. Your host for Sunday will be, Logan, go ahead.
It's going to be Janet from season 39, Island of the Idol.
Wow, quite a treat, guys. Top 5. everybody else. So if you didn't win, if you didn't make it to the top 5, next week around Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll repost the link. You can try to re-sign up. Okay, it's just a lottery. And that's pretty much it for now. Thank you guys so much for playing. Thank you to our out-of-country guests. We have 3 players not in the United States today. That's the dopest shit I've ever seen in my life. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much, Wendy. And go ahead, after you give us your emails, please sign out. Feel free to post a picture of all this online. Go ahead, Logan.
Before everyone goes, I just wanted you guys to, I make the questions for Survivor Trivia, and I'd really appreciate some feedback. I asked last week and not one person sent me a DM about feedback. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys would follow me at @LoganBeatty_ on Instagram, and then shoot me a DM. What do you guys think about the questions? Do you like them? Are they too easy? Are they too hard? What do you think we could do to make it better? I'd really appreciate it. You guys could reach out to me.
So beautiful. Dope. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you for playing. Big thank you to Big Wendy. Can we have Wendy stay on while everybody else is leaving? And yeah, I'll see you later, Amir, Gabriella, Leilani, Drew, Pablo, Danish, Josh. What up, Kelsey? Finally, let's go. All right.
See you Sunday, Kelsey.
Yeah, see you Sunday. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Jeremy. All right. Bye, Jack.